Joining me now, 14-year career in the NBA. First-round draft pick to the Los Angeles Clippers, who he played with for a few years. Two-time NBA champion, both with the Spurs. Brent Barry here on the Rich Eisen Show. How are you, Brent?
I'm doing good, Rich. Impossible to pull off Craig Sager. Impossible, I say.
Well, I know it does take a little bit of moxie and some confidence. That's for sure. You need to come to correct with that to start, Brent.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what is won on the set tonight. But obviously, the sentiment is there for Craig and what he's going through in Houston, and I'll pull him for him, of course. Brent
Barry joining me here on the Rich Eisen Show. So, what do we make of Game 1 from last night between the Rockets and Warriors, Brent?
Well, one of the things, Rich, that a lot of guys like to talk about in the playoffs is how much the matchups during the regular season and the results of the regular season's games don't mean all that much. And, I kind of get that when you look back at who might have played in that game and who might have been hurt, obviously, and the timing of back-to-back 4 and 5 and all that sort of stuff. But I will tell you, Rich, as a player, there's a cachet of what it is that you learn from, the guy across from you, from your opponent, things that you stash away for potentially when it is that you're going to face a team or see them in the playoffs. So, the idea about the results I get, but not so much in terms of what a player can learn about his opposition come playoff time. So guys like Barbosa playing against Prigioni in the regular season go, oh, yeah, I remember this little Italian old guy. He does this, and he likes to do this. And then, guys like Ariza playing against Andre Iguodala say, oh, yeah, I know, Andre likes to do this, and they'll play him at the point forward. You snap back into a lot of those things that happen throughout the course of the regular season come playoff time. So there is value in those matchups, and maybe not so much the results, but just going into the series, you could certainly build off of what you learned during the season.
Well, Steph Curry now has the most career playoff games with 5 made threes and 5 assists, and he just needed 30 career playoff games to do that. It took Kobe 220 career playoff games.
And a heck of a lot more threes, Rich.
I know. So the question, how good is this kid, Brent? How good is he?
It seems just like lightning in a bottle. It's just not to take anything away from Steph Curry and his ability. His ascent has been like a rocket launch. No pun intended. It's the fact that the game has changed around him and that he's kind of the exact prototype. I guess he shatters the mold, but he is the exact guy for this type of game to come along at this time, that it's lightning in a bottle. And he is phenomenal in terms of what he does, of course, with the basketball, his shooting range, but the timing of everything from Steph Curry seems to be just completely appropriate to where the game is headed. He's had an incredible season. He's having a great postseason. The Warriors are on a monumental run behind Steve Kerr and what he's been able to do with that roster, and it just feels like they can do no wrong at this point.
So, and he's got a pretty cute daughter, too. And, that's what a lot of people are talking about after that game last night as he brought his daughter to the podium.
Do we like that? Do we like the kids at the press?
I want to ask you that. I want to ask you about that, Brent, because clearly you're from an NBA family.
Well, my dad would never let me go in there, Rich.
Is that right? Rick would never bring you up on the podium?
They dare let me go home, let alone get into the press room.
What are you talking about, Brent?
No, I'm kidding.
I know.
I don't know. It's a great way to deflect a bunch of boring questions. I can tell you that. You bring your son or your daughter into the press room, and they're sitting with you, and instead of answering 15 questions, you might get 6 or 7 because your youngster's acting up a little bit, or needs to go home, or it's time for the bottle. I don't know. I mean, these guys are human beings. They have lives. They have, things going on. And if they want to they get enough questions in the locker room and things like that. If they want to bring their kids out for the press conference, if it's something they want to do, yeah, I'm all for it. It makes it way less boring.
But it's not like he bricked up the night and the Warriors lost. I mean, he just right. So it's just I would probably have a problem with it if it's after a loss, Brent.
Yeah, I think that's legitimate. Maybe the league. I mean, there'll be enough discussion on social media, I would guess,
yes,
after Steph's daughter about how it is the league should handle this with regards to. And I get it, the seriousness of the event. It's playoff basketball. guys have legitimate questions, and there's journalists out there who are trying to do a job. They'd like to ask about some strategy and this, that, and the other. And there's plenty of opportunities, I will say this, to do that before it is that said player goes into the press room for the major presser after the game, that you can still get to the player for those serious type questions. But yeah, maybe there is precedent about, hey, if you win. I mean, most of the time this happens at home, right, Rich? Because the families are there and they're not traveling usually during the playoffs.
Right.
So it ends up most of the time being a winning team's player that's in there with their kids.
Brent Barry joining me here on the Rich Eisen Show. Okay, so the Cavs and Hawks raise the curtain this evening. Brent, what do you expect out of this series?
I just have not seen the Atlanta Hawks team that we saw at most points during the regular season's confidence in the offensive end at all during the playoffs, not in the series against the Nets. I had a great chance to cover them against the Wizards, and they've just not played with the type of confidence on that end of the floor that they displayed throughout the course of the regular season. And I believe that the Cavs are the one team defensively that might help Atlanta find that. That might sound weird, but I don't know if their wing guys have, in Shumpert and in J.R. Smith, can have the type of discipline to do what it is that the Wizards were able to do and guys like Allen Anderson and Joe Johnson were able to do in the series prior, to make sure that Kyle Korver doesn't find ways to start to hurt the opponent. He's not had any room whatsoever, especially in the Wizards series with Beal, that Korver could get going in this series. And Atlanta, if they find that confidence, Rich, I think can be very, very dangerous for the Cavs. Very dangerous.
So what do you think is going to happen? Who advances?
I think the Hawks can win the series, Rich, honestly, because of the way that they can have balanced scoring and find some offense from all kinds of areas. I mean, given Kyrie's situation with the knee, this is no slight to LeBron. I think LeBron's one of the greatest players of all time. I understand what kind of matchup he is. One thing that they have going in favor for them, I think, is Coach Bud has seen LeBron James in many iterations. He was an assistant coach for San Antonio when we beat them in 2007, when he was on Cleveland, basically in the same mode he's in now. And he saw him, obviously, with the Heat and playing off of Wade and Bosh. And so there's a bit of know-how as to how Coach Bud is going to make sure that he deploys DeMarre Carroll defensively and what he can do to make it difficult for LeBron James, if you can, at all, to score. But they can find their confidence on the offensive end, and I don't see it's going to be a great series, but I don't see how it is that Cleveland can maintain their defensive focus on what it is that Atlanta can do offensively if they find that rhythm.
How much Popovich is in Budenholzer?
Not down to a T, Rich, in terms of their offense, but certainly philosophically moving the ball, moving players, and trying to create opportunities. X's and O's, I wouldn't tell you that specifically Bud has taken the playbook and just imprinted it into Atlanta to do what he's doing. He's borrowed some other things from a lot of European coaches, but certainly philosophically with regards to player movement, ball movement, there are fingerprints all over that.
Brent, I know you're from a competitive group, obviously. Scooter, John, Brent, Drew, those are the four Barry boys. We had John on twice. Now you, Brent.
I'm sorry about that.
It's okay,
sorry,
Brent. No, it's okay. The show survived. If I had to put it all on some sort of line here, which Barry wins a one-on-one round-robin contest in your household?
This is not including the master seed.
Shall we throw him in there? Shall we throw Rick in there, Brent?
No, he's talked enough. Let's go. I think that. I don't know, we can go to the numbers. If we look at the numbers, I think that I have a pretty good chance at it.
Okay. Are you talking rings? Did you just show me rings?
No, I wouldn't do that. I'd just say, you look at the career and the consistency and the type of professionalism and character that was displayed, and you may come to your answer.
So that's a walk-off, Brent. I like it.
I just dropped my phone.
You did? Please don't do that. Please don't do that. Thanks for calling in, Brent.
You can check your Twitter. I sent you a photo of where it is that I'm doing this interview right now. So
okay, hold on a minute. Let me look at that. I'm checking my Twitter right now.
Yeah,
at Barry a 3.
Yeah, see the creativity in that one?
I'm trying. Yeah,
that's good. Barry a 3.
Yeah, I know.
Funny.
There you are. Talking playoffs at my son's grad. Wait, it's a 3rd to 4th grade. Let's go with promotion. Good timing, Rich. There you are. That's a chain link fence. That's a lovely hoops dojo you got there.
Well, that's where players are born.
And I like the goat, man. I like the goatee. I like how.
Rich. I'm going to get back to my son's promotion.
Go for it now.
All right, good to talk with you, Rich.
Take care, Brent. Right. You take care. That's Brent Barry.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern. On Audience.